Okay, parallel and perpendicular lines. Right? Are those two lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither?
Neither.
Okay? So, again, if they're parallel, they have to be exact. It's not enough if they're opposites, right? So they're not parallel. Are they perpendicular? John, are they perpendicular? Why not?
Because they're the same. They're the same, and they're the same, but they're opposites.
What would it have to be for them to be reciprocals? Or sorry, perpendicular.
You have to
Flip the fraction, right? So they're not parallel. They're not perpendicular. They're neither. Okay. How about these two? Parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Connor? They're perpendicular, right? If one of them has a slope of 1, right, which you could say that's like 1 over 1, then the perpendicular slope should be the opposite reciprocal, which is negative 1.
Basically, you have no choice.
Yeah. So yeah, those are perpendicular, opposite reciprocals. Okay, next. How about those two? Parallel, perpendicular. Okay. Yeah, I should have done on this one. I should have said these are perpendicular. And this one is parallel, because they are exactly the same, right? 10 equals 10. And that's what we learned in the last lesson. And we don't really do much more with it here. Parallel, perpendicular, or actually just saying perpendicular or not.
No.
How do you tell what the slope is if it's not in slope-intercept form? You solve for y, right? You solve for y. So how do I solve this first one for y? Okay, so what would you do as the first step? Okay, so if it's positive 7x on the left, what is it on the right? So negative 7x plus 42. Okay, then what? Divide by 12. Okay, so cancel, cancel. Okay, now the 42 over 12, what is that? Is that the slope? It's the y-intercept, okay? It's not simplified. Do we need to simplify it? In the end, all we care about is the slope. So in the end, I'm not even going to bother to simplify because all I really want to know is the slope. And what is the slope? Negative 7/12. Okay, now let's solve the other one. Okay, so if it's a negative 16x on the left, what is it on the right? Positive 16x on the right, minus 52. Divide by 11, 11, 11. Okay, and so these cancel. What is the slope? 16 over 11. So are those opposite reciprocals? They're opposites, right? One's positive, one's negative, but are they just flip the fractions? No, so they're not perpendicular. Okay, that's a not. Not opposite reciprocals. Okay. Okay, you try. Perpendicular or not? What are you going to do? With both equations, what you going to do? Which is solve for y, right? Solve for y so you could tell the slope. What'd you say? Perpendicular? Not perpendicular? What was the slope of the first line?
Y equals negative x over 2 minus 12.
That's not what I asked. What's the slope? What's the slope of the first line? 1/2? Negative 1/2. What's the slope of the second line? 3/2. So does that make them perpendicular?
No.
No. Again, if you solve them, you should have gotten 2y equals negative x plus or minus 12. Divide by 2. divide by 2, divide by 2, right? So that's why this slope is negative 1/2, right? This one, 2y equals positive 3x minus 8, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2. So that's why this slope is 3/2. So this is not. They're not opposite reciprocals. Okay, write the equation of a line that passes through the point 4, negative 5, and it's perpendicular to the line y equals 2x plus 3. So we're going to try to write the equation. And we know all we need to fill into that is slope and the y-intercept. Now, they've given us a point. We know we can do this if we have a point and the slope. What is going to be the slope of our line if it's perpendicular to that line? Yeah, negative 1/2. This thing has a slope of 2, right? So we would say our line has a slope of negative 1/2, the opposite reciprocal. So once you've identified that, you've got the point, you've got the slope, plug it in, find the b. Negative 5 equals negative 1/2 times positive 4 plus b. Negative 5 equals negative 2 plus b. Add 2. b equals negative 3. So what is the equation of our line? Negative 2x? Nope. Negative 1/2 x, right? It's that slope right there. Minus 3. So again, we know we can find the equation if we know one point and the slope. They're not telling us directly, they're kind of giving us a clue. Sometimes that clue is going to be parallel, which means it'll be the same. Sometimes it'll be perpendicular, which means opposite reciprocals. Okay, so try this one. Okay, so we've got a point, and our slope must be negative 1/4. Because it's perpendicular to that line. So we got to do our 3 equals negative 1/4 times 4 plus b. 3 equals negative 1 plus b. b equals 4. So y equals negative 1/4 x plus 4. That's the lesson. So here's homework. You want to write that down. We're not going to have a quiz, but we are going to do a review for the quiz we'll do tomorrow, just so you'll have a clear idea what's going to be on there. In fact, I think I'll keep recording, so it'll be on the video if you won't go back and watch the video. So I think Mr. Pace is going to take a few across the hall to review in a smaller group, and the rest will start to review. So. Quiz grade to replace these other quiz grades, right? But after that, I'm not replacing these other quiz grades, even if you do better on the test. So this is your chance to make the 3 we've done this week. Yeah, go. Okay. So, and this is 10 slides, and the questions will be just like these 10 questions. Okay. So how do you find the slope-intercept equation of a line if you know the slope and the y-intercept? I mean, what is it that we need to fill into this y equals mx plus b? Yeah, they're telling you the slope and the y-intercept. Just plug it in. Y equals negative 2x plus 5. Right? If you're lucky enough that they gave you the y-intercept. right? And these problems, they come from page 286, number 3 through 8. And if you wanted to practice this little skill, you could do that. Okay, what if they give you 2 points and 1 point happens to be the y-intercept? First, find the slope, all right? M equals, okay, let's try to find the slope. -5 minus -1 divided by 0 minus 3. So again, it goes without saying, you got to know how to find the slope. Let's not be making mistakes like, does it y's over x's? Are we subtracting? Like, don't subtract -5 minus -1 and then 3 minus 0. You just reverse the order in the denominator. Right? So make sure it's the same. So -5 minus, and this part of it, if you got all of that correct, then just put it in the calculator. You won't be wrong. Alpha y equals 1. Substitute it exactly like that. That should be -4 over -3, which is 4/3. Okay, so what is the, and how do I know that this point is the y-intercept? Right. Any point that has x equals 0, the y value is the y-intercept. So that's going to be, this is the b. Y equals 4/3 x minus 5. Okay. So again, the problems, if you wanted to practice that, page 286, 24 to 29. Okay, now what if they give you a slope and a point which is not the y-intercept? Then how do you find the y-intercept? Right? Then you plug it into y equals mx plus b. 3 equals -4 times -1 plus b. 3 equals +4 plus b. So b equals -1. So the equation is y equals -4x minus 1. Right? We already knew the slope. That was given. And we figured out the b. Now, remember, there is another, what you could use if you remembered point slope to do this. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Right? You could have just plugged in the point and the slope. Y minus 3 equals -4x plus 1. Right? X minus -1 is x plus 1. And just solve it for y. Y minus 3 equals -4x minus 4. Add 3 to both sides. Y equals -4x minus 1. You get to the same place. Again, these problems, page 296, 3 through 8. Okay, that's 3. Fourth, what do you do if they give you 2 points and neither one happens to be the y-intercept? Find the slope first, right? What do you do with 2 points? Find the slope. M equals -1 minus 5 over 2 minus -2, which is -6 over +4, which is -3/2. Okay. Then what? So now we know the m, but we still don't know the b. So we plug in. Which of the 2 points do we use? Either one, doesn't matter. I'm going to use the smaller numbers for no good reason. -1 equals -3/2 times 2 plus b. -1 equals -3 plus b. So b equals 2. So what is our equation? -3/2 x, right? That's the m, right? Goes in first, plus 2. Okay. Okay, and now you should be able to do the same thing if you get function values. So I'm not going to go through the whole finding an equation of a line, but how do I turn function values into points so that I can do the same thing that I just did? What's the point that goes with f of 4 equals 9? 4, 9. What's the point that goes with f of negative 4 equals negative 7? Negative 4, negative 7. Right? Again, page 297, number 23 to 28. Okay, write an equation in point-slope form, right? That's the version right there. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. If you know one point and the slope. What will it be in this case? I mean, the slope, where does the slope go? Right there. Okay, where's that 4 going to go? What does it replace? It's the x1, right? Where's the negative 3 go? It's the y1, right? And if I just show it exactly like that, right? Y minus negative 3, that's substituting exactly what you've been given. 2 times x minus 4. Right, but you should take one step to simplify that. What would it be? Minus a negative is plus. Y plus 3 equals 2 times x minus 4. Now, don't distribute, right? It wouldn't be point slope if you start simplifying things, right? Point slope is parentheses x minus x1. So that's the most simplifying to do. Again, that would be page 305, 3 through 11. Remember the odd numbers, you could check your answers. Let's try. What if they don't give you the slope, but they do give you 2 points? Find the slope, right? So we've got m equals 1 minus 3 divided by 1 minus negative 1, which is negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. Okay, then what? We have to find the point-slope form of the line. Pick a point, right? Doesn't matter which one, pick a point. I'm going to use the second point because it's both positive. Right, so y minus 1 equals negative 1, x minus 1. Now, I could have picked the other point and still been right. Right? I could have had y minus 3 equals negative 1, x plus 1. Either one of those is correct. 2 possibilities. Okay, what if I solve both of them for y? They would be exactly the same, right? They look different in this form, but they wouldn't be different if we put them into slope-intercept form. Okay. Standard form, right? That's when you got the x term plus the y term on the left, constant term on the right. What do a, b, and c represent? They're just numbers, right? It's not slope. It's not intercepts of any kind. You know, don't try to make meaning out of that. Like somehow I can like plug in the 4 and the negative 1 for a and b. Okay, that they don't mean that at all. So in order to put it into that form, I first got to put it into some other form. And, you know, probably slope-intercept is the way to go. And we did this on a previous slide. So how do I find the slope-intercept form if I know the slope and any old point? I know the slope, so what do I have to find out? The intercept. So again, let's go through the same drill. Negative 1 equals 3 times 4 plus b. Negative 1 equals 12 plus b. Subtract 12 from both sides. b equals negative 13. So if the problem said put into slope-intercept form, I could definitely do that. Y equals 3x minus 13, right? But that's not the point. We're supposed to put it in this form. I got to get both the x and the y term on the same side. How do I do that? Subtract the 3x. So now it's negative 3x plus y equals negative 13. And that is definitely standard form. Is it the only standard form that we could have? No, remember standard form, you could just like multiply everything by something, just as long as you do the same thing to both sides. It's still standard form. I mean, if somebody would have said, when you had the y equals 3x minus 13, that you wanted to subtract y from both sides, and then you would have to add 13 to get it on the other side, you would have had positive 3x minus y equals positive 13. And they're both good, right? There's more than just one standard form to go through. Okay, two more. What if you got to put in standard form, and what you've been given is 2 points? Find the slope. M equals, how about negative 9 minus negative 1 divided by negative 6 minus 0, which is negative 8 over negative 6. And again, all of this you could put in the calculator. It'll simplify all this for you. Like negative 8 over negative 6 as a fraction needs to be simplified. That's 4/3. Okay, so now we can make our, okay, now we find our M. Now we got to find the B. So we'll go through the same drill. How about we'll use 0, negative 1. Negative 1 equals 4/3 times 0. Oh, actually, yeah, that's me not realizing what I've got in front of me. That is B. How do I know it's B? How does Callie know it's B? Because x is the 0. So here's the slope-intercept form of the line. Y equals 4/3 x minus 1. Okay, still not in standard form. How do I put in standard form? Subtract the 4/3 x from both sides. If it's a positive 4/3 x on the right, what is it going to be on the left? Negative 4/3 x plus y equals negative 1, right? Don't lose the sign. And last one. Find the equations of horizontal and vertical lines that pass through a point. So let's, before we just jump to an answer, let's plot that point and figure out what it is they're actually asking us to do. Negative 1, positive 3 is this point right there. So if I draw the horizontal and vertical lines, right, the horizontal line is this. The vertical line is this. I missed. Close enough. So what is the equation of the horizontal line? What is the y value right here? 3. So it's y equals 3. Right? What is the equation of this line? Yeah, x equals negative 1 because of that right there. What is the slope of the line? Y equals 3. The horizontal line, what's the slope? Right? Remember, slope, if it's going straight across like that, it's not positive, it's not negative, it's right in the middle. What's right in the middle of positive and negative numbers? 0. So this is the one that has a slope of 0. What is the slope of a vertical line? Undefined, right? So that's the review. So we'll have a quiz tomorrow.